education, leadership, and beyond, surviving and thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the podcast, and happy summer, happy 4th of July week. Thank you for tuning in live here on Facebook, on social media. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, iTunes, wherever you're taking in your podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Leave us a positive review, leave us a comment, and certainly leave us a comment and say hello to today's guest, Nick Emanuele. Nick is the associate principal at Warwick Valley High School here in New York. He was my student as he was getting his admin degree. And we just had a lot of people in the same circles, professional circles. So we will meet Nick in a moment, and I'm happy to have him on. I do want to thank today's sponsor of the program. It is IXL. And here's a word from IXL. Hey, friends, Andrew Murata here, surviving and thriving. And I want to thank today's sponsor for the podcast, IXL. Discover the power of data-driven instruction in your school with IXL. It is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It gives you everything you need to maximize learning, from a comprehensive curriculum to meaningful school-wide data. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments, including NWEA, MAPS, STAR, iLearn, just to name a few. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your ed tech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your school towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, I want to thank IXL for sponsoring Education, Leadership, and Beyond. All right. Thank you for that. Is a great company, IXL. Certainly the math and the ELA, the data, the instant data you get. So I am a big fan of them, and I thank them for sponsoring the show. All right. I like to watch movies that impact me. I like to watch movies, kind of true stories, but it's rare I sit down to watch a movie. I'm always doing something. But I was on a plane recently. I was tired, and I just, my cup was full with work. So I watched One Love, the Bob Marley story. And there's a scene at the end. I won't give the whole story away, but it was great movie about Bob Marley. And there's a scene at the end. He's playing Redemption Song. He just had written it. He's playing it by himself acoustically. Don't ask me to sing and don't ask me to play. And his wife walks in. And his wife hears the song and she says, "Wow, Bob, that was beautiful. When did you write that?" And Bob Marley pauses in his cool voice with the Jamaican accent, and he says, "My whole life. My whole life." I've been here in Port over 20 years as a school leader, been an educator for I don't know how many. And the things that are happening now and the results, the things I'm seeing is extremely satisfying that you could see some of the things unfold. And we're going to meet again. Nick Emanuele just finished his first year as an administrator, as a young educator. It takes time for things to build. It takes time to build momentum, gain trust. And I remember kind of fighting through some of those things as a young administrator here in Port Jervis. And now to kind of be on the other side, looking back. And I just love that. Bob Marley, a great artist, great songwriter. And when did you write it? Well, he had been writing it his whole life, right? And the work that we're doing as educators, it just builds. Things don't get easier. You learn to deal with them easier. So, again, I'm excited to talk to Nick after his first year. So think about that concept, though. My whole life, as you're on your journey, things don't get easier. They're easier for you because you've done them. You got more experience. You got thicker skin. You know what's coming your way, things like that. So check it out if you haven't seen it. Enough of me talking. Let's bring in the star of the show here from Warwick Valley Schools, coming by way of Minnesink, Nick Emanuele. Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Although I think you just said Minnesink.
Well, you're from Minnesink.
I am from Minnesink. Yeah.
Kind of represent your hometown, even though that's our rival. I respect, the Valley. But Warwick Valley Schools is where you are the associate principal now, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, welcome. Nick, you just finished your first year as administrator. Uh, how did it go? You just caught your breath. You had graduation just last week. Gave you a couple days to relax, but I was excited to have you on. How did your first year go?
The first year was great, honestly. I think I reflect back to my first day of the first day of school. And then I look back and see what happened on the last day of school, and they look kind of similar. You know, like we have our opening day ceremonies. You know, everybody's coming in. We're doing our meetings with like the freshmen, sophomores, and seniors and juniors. And then, you know, we have our closing ceremonies basically. And I just think back to, you know, day one. I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. And where I'm at now, it's like I feel really good. I feel like I've grown exponentially, honestly. Like I feel a lot better on the last day of school than I did on the first day of school. So it was good. You know, there's ups and downs like there's going to be every year. I think that's kind of what the job is. But overall, a really good year and a really good learning experience for me.
Awesome. Awesome. A number of people watching live. If you're watching live, jump in, say hello, throw us a question here, or certainly jump in the show. Appreciate you tuning in. Nick, you heard the opening comment. Again, the story about Bob Marley there. What's your take on that comment? My whole life. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think if you prepare for something, you can't prepare for something on a short-term basis. I think it's probably something that you have to do your whole life. I think in education, you know, a lot of times, like I've heard people say throughout my time, like it's just business. It's just business. You know, you can't take it personal, but how do you not take stuff that happens in school personal? You know, when we work in this job, because we get really educated, we get really close to it. So I guess we're in education, and education is my whole life. So that's how I relate to that one.
Awesome. What was the hardest thing for you starting out in your first year?
Definitely coming into a place where I know nobody. I don't know any students. I don't know any teachers. I don't know any administrators. Like I don't know anybody. And I'm coming from a place where I knew everyone. So that was kind of a culture shock to me, I think. Just being so unfamiliar with the people that I'm surrounded by. When I was teaching at Minnesink, that's where I grew up. So I knew everyone for a really long time. And I think it was a little bit of I had to put myself out there, and I felt like when I went to a new place, I have to establish myself all over again, and that can be stressful. You know, like you spend your whole life establishing yourself at one place, and then you go leave, and you have to start all over. So that's really stressful. But I think it's going really well, and I think I'm in the middle. I'm still doing it, but I'm still working on establishing myself there. But I think it's been going good so far. But definitely, going from where you know everybody to know no one, it can be a little scary and a little stressful for sure.
Yeah. And almost, you know, in a way, like you said, you're reestablishing yourself. Same thing when I got here to Port. I literally had moved from Staten Island to a whole different area. So I can certainly relate to that. And you will grow yourself there. What was something that came your way here in the first couple of weeks on the job, and you were just like, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know how to deal with that. Well, you know, what was something that came your way that you kind of eventually learned how to do, but in the moment you weren't sure?
Man, I really feel like when I went for my job here, like I felt like I was prepared, but I got to say, like, there's nothing specific that I felt 100% confident in doing right from the beginning, just because like it's different. It's a different school with different procedural things. Mm-hmm. I learned through people asking me questions that there's so much to know in a school, whether it be like ins and outs of disciplinary issues or something as crazy as like the guidance office questions. Like people come to me and ask me questions about guidance things, and I'm like I want to know it because I want to know everything, but I know that's not possible and probably realistic to know everything. But I got a lot of questions in the beginning that I was like, I don't know. But a lot of it was like procedural stuff, like, hey, are we allowed to leave then? Like, when are we doing this? So it was a lot of procedural stuff that I just didn't know. But not knowing an answer to a question to me is it's stressful not knowing an answer to a question, especially when people don't know you. You know, like you want to have all the answers for people. So I can't say that there's anything specific that I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Because it was kind of everything. But what's good is, you know, I'm a fast learner, so I pick up on things, and then, you know, that eventually goes away, and then you could start answering questions without having to go double check if I said the right thing. You know, like that part goes away after a while, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. And you spoke very highly of your Principal Diapolis. She was from the middle school and then to the high school, so she was also new, but had been in the district. Tell me about her leadership that you know helped you there, and some things that really clicked with that relationship.
We clicked from day one, and she has been nothing but exceptional in her role as a principal. She did a great job at graduation. We had a lot of help with that as well. That was really a team effort. And I think, honestly, our team that we have in the high school right now is so well put together, and we work really, really good with each other. And I think that's really important, especially in a role like, you know, in an administrative role. It can be really stressful, and you don't really have a lot of people to rely on or you can lean on when you're struggling or when you're, you know, stressed about something. Like, there's a very small pool of people that you can call and say like, hey, I'm dealing with this. What do you think about that? Not like, you know, in the teaching world, there's so many of them, you know, you can call a lot more people than when you get into our world. But she's really good at, she gives me a lot of really good advice, and her leadership style is one that I think she's very highly respected. Well, I know she's very highly respected. She's kind of been an inspiration, I think, to me and to definitely our other APs. Like, she's very good at what she does, and she's really good with people. So I was really happy to be working with her and the other two that are there as well.
Give her a shout out here on the program. It's about mentoring. It's about those relationships and growing. And Nick, we call it the kitchen cabinet, right? And as you grow, you add more people, more things to your kitchen cabinet, and you build those relationships. So
I mean, it's about who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
So I was lucky to have good leadership, mentoring when I was a teacher and a coach, and it's continued into my administrative role. I have great mentors that I'm around every day, and I'm super grateful for all of them.
Nice. Nick, again, starting out, new school, new kids, new adults, you know, how did you go about making connections, building relationships with the kids and with the adults? You know, they're checking you out. Like, who is this guy? Is he going to be good enough to do the job, tough enough? You know, gaining that trust, earning that trust from the adults. How did you build relationships and develop trust with your colleagues?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of little moments that you can win with people that helps build that. And I think for kids, it's being out in the hallway, having conversations about just the most random stuff. Like, it doesn't always have to be school related conversations. It could be about, you know, a sports team, whether it be like professional or how they're doing in their own sports. But I love the art of a good conversation. So I like talking to them about anything that's going on in their lives. Basically, that's what goes on with the students. And the same thing with teachers. Like, with them, it's more, you know, you have these moments where, you know, they could be having an issue with a kid that they need help maneuvering, or a parent, or, you know, just again, it could be a procedural thing that maybe they're having an issue with, they want to talk to somebody about. And I think just little moments like that where you can kind of maneuver through with them, meaning teachers and, you know, other faculty and staff and students as well. You just have to earn it a little at a time. It's not going to be one big moment that they're like, oh, I trust this guy now. It's just a bunch of little ones that happen on the day-to-day basis. And then they have to see your face. Like, they have to know who you are. So, you know, if you sit in your office all day and nobody sees you, they're like, who's that guy? You know, so you got to be out and about talking to people and showing them that you're a real person, you know?
Great answer there.
You got to be relatable.
I love the concept of small wins, and great answer. Nick, how about the names? I remember that starting out. It was so many kids, so many names. But I really worked at trying to remember the name. Tell me, how'd you do that? You have a skill? You have a hack to do that?
Yeah, yearbook.
Yearbook. Okay.
Yeah, no. So it is a lot because you get thrown in to, I don't know, 100, 150 faculty and staff, and then all of a sudden you have 2,000 kids coming in the building. Repetition, saying their names all the time, and then honestly just having conversations. And then, a conversation you have with somebody sticks out and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I remember that because of this. And so it's having the conversations with people outside of, hey, how you doing today? All right, see you later. It's got to be a little bit deeper than that. I think that's how you can remember people's names a little bit better. It's definitely tough though, and I'm not there yet. I'm definitely not there yet, but it's better than it was day one. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love it. It's so true. Great answer. Nick, how about the repetitive, Jimmy, take your hat off, right? You tell him to take the hat off, and then you see him an hour later and he's got the hat back on. Hey, Jimmy, take the hat off. Next day, Jimmy comes in. Jimmy, you got to take the hat off. How'd you deal with that repetitive non-compliance in your first year?
Well, I think that when you deal with a kid that's doing something, it really depends on what it is. Like if it's his hat, I'm not making a big deal about a hat, So if there's something that's that needs to be addressed, I think having a conversation with the kid is the best. Again, like it's all about relationships. And if you build a relationship with the kid enough where they respect you, kids, I personally think kids they like direction. I think they like to, I think they like structure, because when you have an unstructured event or an unstructured area, like that annoys them the same way that it can annoy an adult. So I think if you're consistent and you keep getting on a situation, if it's a repetitive thing, I think they'll get sick of hearing me telling them to take the hat off. So they'll finally just, when they see me, they'll take it off, and when they're around the corner, they'll put it back on. And that's okay. That's part of it. Like that's part about being in high school. You got to push the limits a little bit sometimes. So
great. Another good answer there. I met Nick in our class at LIU Hudson, getting his admin degree. Displayed a lot of confidence, displayed a lot of personality, and I knew right away. I said, this guy's he's going to get a job and he's going to be good because, again, easily relatable. But what was something you took from our class, Nick? Maybe a situation or a strategy or a tool that you've now used on the job?
I'll tell you that I could tell you what my favorite part about the class was. I think that would be easier to kind of explain, because honestly, I feel like I know being in the class wasn't that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah.
The scenarios that we did.
Yeah.
Remember the scenarios?
Oh yeah.
Those are the best thing that we did. I've said it and I was open about it back then. Like we need to just do these every day because that was real life. Because the scenarios that we did were real life scenarios. And we were like, all right, well, how would you deal with that? And then we would all just kind of debate on what we would do. And it's funny because around that time, I did a leave replacement as an AP in Minnesota.
Right? Yeah. I remember.
So I got very lucky to do that. And my answers that I had probably before I got into the real thing changed as we progressed and started. Like before I had experience, and I'm not saying I had the most crazy experience, but I had a lot of solid experience at a early part of my classes. So I was really lucky for that. But my answers changed because I knew that there was the paper, the book way to do things, and then like the real way to do things. And I used to say it in a different way. I'd say there's a right way to do things and a real way to do things. But in this situation, like the book answer wasn't what happened with the real answer. Like some answers were like, oh, we could do X, Y, and Z. And oh yeah, that sounds really, really great, but that's not going to work in real life. It's not going to work. And I know that now because I experienced it. So and I said that during those scenarios in that class, I'd be like, that's just not going to work. I'm just telling you, I know it's not going to work. And I think those scenarios were the best part because it really gives you a little opening to what you're going to deal with. Some of them are ridiculous. Like, some situations some of them are pretty funny, and then some of them can be serious, but you see the wide range of things that we deal with. And I always thought that was the best part was the scenarios. Those helped me a lot.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. They may or may not have been true stories, you know? I mean,
Yeah, they may or may not have, but they all were.
surviving and thriving is real.
Yeah.
Nick, you're going to have a year under your belt next year. Going in, you know, I'm not doing that again. I am going to do A, B, and C. What are some things you're going to do differently next year, and maybe something you won't do that you learned this year?
Some things that I will do the same and different the following year. Well, you know what? I think all the things that I've done, I feel pretty good about. Like, I don't think that there's much. I mean, other than like, you know, individual scenarios that happen, like maybe dealing with, you know, maybe dealing with a teacher or dealing with a student or a parent. Like sometimes conversations don't necessarily go as good as you want them to go, and I think I'll be more mindful of how, not how I react, because I don't think I don't react inappropriately, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll try not to listen as hard for some things that people say, and you know, it won't affect you as much, because sometimes things get said in the heat of the moment that I don't think sometimes people mean. But I think that again, it's hard to not take some things personally sometimes. So I think I'll go into it with the idea of, and I always appreciate the way that people they fight for their kids, because that's a parent's job, is to fight. Like, you know, you're supposed to fight for your kids through and through. And I respect that. And I appreciate that. And I have to understand that sometimes I think that, you know, people don't mean some of the things that they say, I think. So maybe I won't take everything as personal. I got to stop doing that. Sometimes it bothers me, but it's hard to do. Take everything personal.
You grow those relationships with the parents. You get to know them. You see them out. Different events, and you know,
all my relationships with parents are great. It's just, I think it's nothing specific. It's just, I try to be perfect, and it's hard to be perfect. It's not possible. So I get on myself. I'm a little harder on myself, I think, than I probably should be. But it's trying to get, you know, you're trying to establish yourself, you know, and that's tough when you're new.
Absolutely. And we talk sports a lot. You know, when I refereed, I blew the whistle. I knew the call was right, but half the arena was still booing.
Oh yeah, that's tough. Yeah,
and you gotta learn. Yeah, you learn to deal with it, but you stick to your guns. That confidence, and again, those relationships.
Yeah, because in the end, it's about the kids, right? So you're always trying to, you know, when a kid does something that might lead to some kind of disciplinary thing, I always try to tell people it's okay that they did that. Like they're allowed to make these mistakes here. That's where you grow. You know, like this is where they're allowed to make mistakes. So, you know, I think that part, it's the most difficult part of an admin job, is that part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nick, it's the first week of July. Again, catching your breath, graduation kind of now. Okay, I'm going into year two. What are some things you're going to do this summer to kind of recharge, sharpen your saw? Are you going to a conference? Are you reading a book? What are some things you're going to do to kind of grow your skills?
Well, I am going to, I have a couple of conferences I'm signed up for, some leadership stuff going on. Actually, I'm going to one on Monday at, I think the BOCES in Westchester.
Okay.
And just, you know, going to those professional development sessions, they help, being around other administrators and having conversations. Again, I'm always going to go back to having conversations. I'm sorry, but I just think that's so important. And just finding out like what they're doing. And I like talking to people from other schools to see kind of how they handle situations. I went to one over the school year where we were with other administrators, and the whole time we kind of just bounced ideas off of each other and like, hey, we have this situation that's kind of happening at this school. What do you think about that? Hey, I have a situation going on at that school. How would you guys handle it? Have you guys experienced that? So it's kind of like the scenario game that we were playing with you that may or may not have been real, but these were real ones that were kind of live and ongoing. And it was really good to hear feedback from other people. So yeah, I'm going to be doing things like that, having conversations with people.
Yeah. And a job alike, right? You realize you ain't the only one struggling with this, or you got that problem too. There's a connection there, and good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nick, you know, my mantra, my mindset is surviving and thriving. If we take the word "and" out, now we got a blank there. What is that mindset, that strategy, that habit that you would put in there to not just survive, but to thrive? What's that thing, if we take the word "and" out, that you were putting in?
A word to replace "and"?
A word, a mindset, a habit, a personality trait?
You got to be resilient. You just got to be resilient. You got to just keep going forward. I think this is it's a tough job. You know, it's not something that you can't go into it being like, oh, I'm never going to have a bad day, because you're going to have bad days. And I think that if you're aware of that and you know there's nothing you could do to change that, you know, control the controllables. You can't control there's going to be things that happen that make your day not the best one, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And as long as you have a good support system, you get through it and you just keep moving on and you get better from it. So be resilient.
I love it. I might be coming to you for that's going to be one of the next books coming up, Surviving Blank Thriving. So maybe we'll have you write the excerpt on resiliency. Certainly want to give a shout out to our Port Jervis connections. We got a number of people in our same circle here. So any of our Port Jervis friends, shout out for tuning in. If you are watching live, jump in and say hello. Nick, something you wanted to share or talk about that I did not ask you?
No, I guess like originally we hooked back up because I wanted to check up on you and see how you were doing, and see how your year was going. And I guess I just wanted to catch up and let you know that I did get another job, because this was a while ago that we you know, I've seen you out and about, but the first time we kind of connected professionally. No, I don't really have any questions. I just, you know, how was your year? You doing all right or what?
Yeah, man. Hey, Port Jervis, I'm living the dream here. I'm in a new role, Nick, and I get to do all of our publicity, a lot of our communication, and again, that mindset of my whole life, all the stuff I did as a principal for 20 years, I get to celebrate all these things in the community. So it's been extremely rewarding for me in this role here in Port Jervis. So thank you for asking.
Is your June crazy or what? Because mine was. It's
yeah.
Like,
hey, there's a lot in the hopper.
Crazy.
And scheduling. I mean, on my second screen here, I got my calendar, scheduling it, timing. Yeah. And good for you for saying, hey, Murata, now is not a good time. Right. And we move the date because you got to make the important thing. And scheduling your time as an administrator is an extremely important skill that you have to do, because you get pulled in so many ways.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you did that early on. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to all of those first year administrators that just started the job yesterday? What would you tell them?
I think I would tell them to expect some good days, expect some bad days, but keep trucking along. And if you care about what you're doing, you'll get through it and you'll get better from it.
Good advice there. They better care, because everyone can tell, you know, the heart.
They could definitely tell. Yeah. You know, I don't, you know, you have to care. If you're in education, it's all about the kids. So if you're, you have to care. You just have to.
Love it. Nick, these are rapid fire questions. We're going to come down the stretch here. Quick answer. First thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Last book you read?
Pass.
Pass. Last movie you saw?
Dune 2.
Dune 2. It was no good, right?
I didn't get it. I wish I did. I'm into that kind of stuff. I couldn't figure it out.
My son.
Someone tell me if it was good or not. I don't know. It was too confusing for me.
Last concert you went to?
Billy Joel, the best. It was awesome. The best.
Did he play Turn the Lights Back On, the new song?
He did. Yep. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
That was Monday's blog. I wrote
it was awesome. Yeah. I saw that actually.
Beautiful. Your favorite dish?
Pizza.
Hey, where's your pizzeria? What's your pizzeria joint?
Cagino's, right next to the Minisink.
Nice Italian joint. Your favorite place to travel?
Delaware.
You're going this summer with some friends. Your favorite singer?
Right now, Billy Joel.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
When you're going to sing karaoke in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, what's your karaoke song?
I'll keep the theme. We'll go Piano Man. I'll keep the theme. I'll keep the theme going.
That's a tough melody. This summer, I will fill in the blank.
Get better.
4th of July means blank to me.
Hot dogs.
A pet peeve of yours, something that gets under your skin.
I don't like it when people don't treat other people with respect. Got to be respectful to everyone.
At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I feel fill in the blank.
Fantastic.
Craziest thing a kid said to you this year?
Jeez.
Did you get any celebrity comparisons? Did they compare you to anybody?
I got I don't know. I don't know. Let's skip that one.
I'll give you a pass. What's one thing you're curious about?
One thing I'm curious about?
Yeah.
I'm curious as to see where I'm at in the next 10 years because I have no idea where I'll be.
Yeah. You're on that journey. Who's your sports team?
The Jets and the Yankees.
Ooh, that's an interesting combination. Jets are going to have a comeback. Aaron Rodgers is going to have a great year. I know it.
I think so.
I sense it. I hope he's.
I don't think I've ever felt the pain like I felt when he went down. I mean, we've had a lot of bad years since, my whole life basically, but I don't think I've ever felt the pain when he went down. I just felt so deflated. I have not felt that in a long time from a sports team.
Yeah. Something about Nick Emanuele that people do not know about.
I love golf. My friends know that, but the people out there probably don't.
Yeah. Okay. Very relaxing physical activity for sure. Long walk or gym workout?
Gym.
Beach, pool, or lake?
Beach.
Book or audio book?
Audiobook.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Deep dish or New York style pizza?
New York style.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Cash or credit?
I am a credit guy, which kind of conflicts with me telling you before that I was kind of like an old soul type of guy, but it's hard to come by cash these days. It's just not out there anymore.
There's a lot of points out there to be had too.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of points to be had out there. Cash. I'm losing it. It's dirty. Morning or night?
Night.
Surviving or thriving?
I'd like to think I'm thriving.
I think you're thriving. Nick Emanuele, everyone. First year AP, associate principal. I love that title there, Warwick. Nick, I love quotes. Do you have a quote you'd like to end us with?
Yeah, my old coach that I worked with for a really long time used to say, "Get better every day," and I love that quote, and I think about that all the time or it's a great day to get better. It's a great day to get better because if you're not getting better and you're staying stagnant, then what are you doing? So you got to get better every day.
And that's what you said you're doing this summer too. I love it.
Getting better every day.
Nick, I appreciate you coming on. I'm really proud of you getting the job here and growing. It sounds like you landed in a great spot.
Yeah, I'm super happy. It's a great place to be for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
If I can help you in any way, friends out there, people making those connections. Again, Nick Emanuele, he's here in Orange County, New York, by way of Minnesink, Warwick Valley associate principal. So, Nick, I wish you a great summer. Enjoy your trip to Delaware. And
thank you.
September 1st will be here before we know it.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
All right. You stay on the line a sec. We are going to sign off here on the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Leave Nick a positive comment. That support and that mentoring is out there. And thanks for tuning in to Education Leadership Beyond. Nick, I'll see you in a minute.